President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, has described the verdict of the Supreme Court that affirmed him as the rightful senatorial candidate of the All Progressive Congress for Yobe North as democracy at work. The Senate President said the credit for victory should go to the APC and its constituency, who insisted that there should be an appeal at the Supreme Court. He commended the judiciary for the verdict, saying it will strengthen Nigeria's democracy. In the lead judgment on the case upheld by 3 justices against 2, Justice Santos Uwezi had faltered the approach of the claimant Bashir Machina in commencing the suit at the Federal High Court, Damaturu Division, by way of originating summons without oral evidence to prove the allegations of fraud. But the minority judgment of the 2 other justices upheld Machina's earlier victory. The Supreme Court is currently generating wild controversy. Judgment, I should say, is generating wild controversy across the polity.
Voters across the country and beyond who showed interest. I didn't, as a person, as an individual, go to the Supreme Court to seek for a redress. But my party did, and my people, the people of Yobe North and Yobe State generally, and many political associates and well-wishers and supporters across the country and beyond, who showed interest that there has to be an appeal at the Supreme Court on this matter. So today, this victory is for all of us involved. I am the symbol, but the victory is for our party, the APC, and for democracy.
All right. A lot to chat about, Ayo.
Oh, yes, a lot to talk about. Interesting times. It's a season of elections, and cases like this are not unusual. In some cases, lamentable, as you mentioned, that a number of Nigerians or the polity has been quite, shall I say, divided. Some people speaking for, some people speaking against. So that judgment was delivered by Justice Santos Uwezi of the Supreme Court of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which is the apex court, the arbiter in the land. However, I'd like to just take us through the journey to, leading up to this moment that we've gotten this judgment by the Supreme Court. So in very late terms, I'll describe the journey. So on the 28th of May, the APC conducted its senatorial primaries in Adamawa. Now, Bashir Machina was the only candidate up unopposed because Senator Ahmed Lawan had written a letter to the party to indicate his withdrawal since he was pursuing the presidential, the presidential candidate through the primaries, which was held on the 8th of June. Now, being unopposed, Machina emerged as winner, and Senator Ahmed Lawan lost, unfortunately, lost the presidential elections on the 8th of June. According to reports, on the 9th of June, a runoff election was held by the party in which Senator Ahmed Lawan emerged as winner, and this was the genesis of the challenges because Machina had then taken the APC to court, asking them to declare him as, or to send his name to INEC as the candidate of the APC for that senatorial district. So in terms of the responses from, with regards to the judgment, people have said that, unfortunately, like we talked about yesterday, in terms of Nigerians and the lack of trust for processes, the Supreme Court has ruled, and without the details, I know in the coming days, and we have an interview later on, would discuss in detail and dissect this judgment. However, where Senator Ahmed Lawan, as you saw in the video, was praising the judgment and him saying that this is a symbol of democracy, the court was ruled. Unfortunately, for a number of Nigerians who do not see it as that, because particularly for those who have followed this process, they say that whilst it's intra-party, it's an intra-party activity, the process by which a candidate emerges as, on behalf of the party, when not transparent, would challenge the viability of that candidate for a number of people who then vote. But something that we must also note is that Senator Ahmed Lawan has emerged as the candidate of the APC in that election. It doesn't decide currently who is going to emerge as winner ultimately come February 25. And that's what Nigerians should be looking forward to. Whatever, irrespective of where we stand on the divide, at the end of the day, the people will determine who will be their ultimate choice come February 25 as to the senator from that district.
Dr. Bati?
Okay, I'm a bit handicapped commenting on this. By my training and exposure, I'm not allowed to comment on judgments that I have not read. There's something called judicial review. But when you have to review a judgment, it's better if you have read the certified true copy of the rulings. And particularly in this case, we have a ruling at the level of the Supreme Court, 3-2. 3-4, 2 against. 3, led by Justice Nweze, and then the minority judgment. But if you look at both, you really have to read the judgment. So I can only go by what I've seen in the newspapers. But before I say that, it's possible for you to engage in contempt. In this particular case, the major error that people will commit is contempt away from the face of the court. It's called contempt ex facie curia. The second issue is to resort to emotions and react on an emotional basis and say, oh, the Supreme Court has done it again and all of that. Well, what people must notice is that the court of law does not take decisions on the basis of emotions or what you feel on the streets. They act strictly on the basis of the technical details presented before the court. Now, in this particular instance, what is the majority decision telling us? The majority decision, as reported, I've not read the judgment, so I'm just going with the media lawyers. What the majority decision reported is that the candidate in question, Lawan, that he took part in another primaries. It was in the presidential primaries of May 28, but it was part of the primaries on June 9, and that he won it and all of that. Now, there's also the other technical question about how do you present pre-election matters before the court? Is it by originating summons or by writ of summons? There was also that technical decision, and then of course the majority decided that Lawan is the fit and proper person who had won. But the minority, the two justices disagreed. They said that in the June 9 primaries held in Yobe North, that was not monitored by INEC, and that Lawan did not even participate in that particular second primaries. Well, the devil is in the details. And they said, no, it cannot be the person. So it's for lawyers to look at both sides, and it's good. We're going to have AJ Owonekoko on the program later this morning, who may well have read, may have had access to the certified true copies of the rulings. I don't imagine that AJ Owonekoko SAN will come and comment on a judgment that he has not read. But what are the lessons that we can take from this? The first lesson is that, look, our Electoral Act is being tested. Section 115, subsection D of the Electoral Act says that you cannot participate in two primaries. So what is this ruling telling us? Number two, we have seen the Supreme Court of Nigeria that people are abusing, and I advise those people to beware of contempt, especially Korea. And after all, this is the same Supreme Court that gave victory to Godswill Akpabio in Akwa Ibom. This is the same Supreme Court that did mathematics in Imo State. Well, that was very controversial because even the great mathematician that came to the bench, Lord Denny, QC, master of the rolls, nobody could accuse him of you turning logic on its head. But he came to Nigeria. We have seen our course doing mathematics at all levels, even when their lordships did not study mathematics. So the public has reasons to be concerned because, after all, the principal rule is that, look, when you deliver a judgment, it must be seen to be true and fair in the minds of reasonable and fair-thinking members of the community. So many Nigerians will think, oh, this is judgment that has been manipulated and all of that. But people should not comment without reading the details. The work of the court is technical. If you want to engage in judicial review, you do it from a position of knowledge. What are the issues? What are the rules? What are the applications? How did their lordships apply the rule? Having not read the judgments, I can only state, what the facts of the matter are as reported. But at the end of the day, I don't think Senator Ahmed Lawan, can go about in a triumphal mood to say he's a symbol of democracy. No, Ahmed Lawan, you are not a symbol of democracy in Nigeria. Even as leader of the Senate of Nigeria, not many Nigerians are convinced that a man who came forward and told them right at the beginning of the assignment that he's a rubber stamp Senate president can describe himself as a symbol. Where there may well be some of your fans who think so, but I don't think so.
Real quickly, for this democracy to work, the judiciary must stand up tall. The judiciary must be seen as fair. The judiciary must be the hope of the common man. This electoral process has thrown out a lot. It has shown that you can eat your cake and have it. And the judiciary has to be careful because of the thoughts of the people. This is the second case. Two circumstances. The first one was Godswill Akpabio participated in the presidential primaries, got a Senate seat through the judiciary. Second one, Ahmed Lawan. At first, don't forget we talked about placeholders. And Machina said, no, it's not a placeholder. He won rightfully. And that dragged on. But also the role his political party played. Because his political party didn't submit Machina's name. That was why Machina kept on going to court. He went to the Federal High Court, went to appeal court. He won there. And this judgment in the Supreme Court, which a lot of people have reasons to raise concerns about. Because the overriding judgment says the way it was issued, without oral evidence, originating summons. You talked about the dichotomy with written summons. I'm happy you talked about the fact that should somebody that participate in the presidential primaries also participate in another primaries, according to our electoral laws, haven't the electoral laws been broken there? Then let's go forward. A lot of us are not reading the dissenting judgment. And I think from now, what we should start doing is we should start looking and scrutinizing the judiciary and the Supreme Court and the people that sit on the Supreme Court and start reading a lot of dissenting judgment. The dissenting two justices on the dissenting judgment, Justice Jaro and Agbim, they both made their point clear.
Jaro and
Agim. In fact, they both said that 3 million naira should be issued as penalty to the APC for bringing such a frivolous case. 3 million naira as penalty.
So
that's what.
Incompetent.
Yeah, incompetent case.
That's what it said.
3 million naira should be issued. That's what the dissenting judgment said. Should be issued against the APC for bringing this case to the Federal High Court. But you know the thing about the Supreme Court. Once you have a better vote than the other party, then the dissenting judgment is like it's never happened. The Nigerians will decide. Please, this also calls on Nigerians going to these elections. Ensure you win at the ballot. And please, politicians, stop banking on the judiciary. Because once they take it to the judiciary, once politicians can take their way to the judiciary, then our democracy is hampered.
But this is Apex Court we're talking about. It's been established that the Apex Court is not infallible. Where is the Apex Court? The only appeal is to God. So that's the